90% of the diet advice you are following right now was designed for the metabolism of a 25-year-old. Inside this video, we are breaking down exactly why your body is suddenly hoarding belly fat, even if you are eating less than you ever have in your entire life. By the end of this, you will have a step-by-step blueprint to flip the switch on your metabolism without starving yourself. But if you click away early, you are going to keep repeating the exact same restriction cycle that is secretly making your waistline bigger. Let us fix this right now. It is so incredibly frustrating. You are doing everything you are supposed to do. You are eating the salads. You are spending hours on the treadmill. You are tracking every single bite that goes into your mouth. And absolutely nothing is happening. The scale is completely stuck, and it feels like this stubborn layer of belly fat just appeared out of nowhere overnight. You look in the mirror and you do not even recognize your own midsection anymore. I need you to hear this loud and clear right now. You are not crazy, and your body is literally fighting you. The deep biological truth is that after the age of 40, belly fat is no longer just a simple issue of calories in versus calories out. It is a hormone issue. As we age, our natural levels of estrogen and testosterone begin to drop. At the exact same time, our baseline levels of insulin resistance and cortisol, which is our primary stress hormone, begin to go up. It is like your internal software just got a terrible update. The biggest mistake you can make right now is trying to fix a major hormonal shift with a basic calorie restriction solution. When you drop your calories down to 200 a day and force yourself to do hours of exhausting cardio, you are not burning fat. You are putting your over 40 body into a state of extreme panic and stress. Your body thinks it is starving in the wilderness. So what does it do? It forces your system to store visceral fat right in your midsection just to protect your vital organs. You are literally triggering the exact biological response you are trying to avoid. The very first thing we have to change is how you are starting your morning. You need to stop fasting like a 20-year-old tech bro and start eating 30 grams of protein within 1 hour of waking up. Intermittent fasting is incredibly popular, and it works great for younger people. But in older adults, especially those dealing with busy lives and high stress, pushing your first meal to noon can cause a massive spike in cortisol. When cortisol spikes first thing in the morning and stays elevated, it sends a direct signal to your fat cells to store energy around your belly. Eating a heavy dose of protein early in the day completely blunts that cortisol response. It stabilizes your blood sugar for the rest of the afternoon and tells your nervous system that you are safe, fed, and not in danger. You can do this easily by having 3 whole eggs mixed with some cottage cheese, or even a high-quality protein shake if you are rushing out the door. Take a client I worked with recently. She is a 45-year-old mom of 2. For 3 entire years, she skipped breakfast. She thought she was doing the right thing to save calories. She would wake up, drink black coffee, get the kids to school, and power through her morning on an absolutely empty stomach. But her weight would not budge, and her lower belly kept getting softer. We completely flipped her routine. I had her start eating eggs at 8 in the morning. Within 3 weeks, her pants started fitting loosely again. The most common mistake people make here is thinking a piece of dry toast or a quick banana counts as a good breakfast. Those are just pure carbohydrates that will spike your blood sugar and leave you crashing by 10 in the morning. You need that solid 30 grams of protein to set the hormonal tone for the entire day. Once you fix your morning meal, we have to completely overhaul how you are moving your body. You need to swap out the chronic cardio for some heavy stuff. I am talking about trading that mindless hour on the elliptical machine for 30 minutes of lifting weights or doing heavy bodyweight exercises. Here is the science behind why this is so critical. Beginning around age 30, we all start experiencing something called sarcopenia, which is the natural age-related loss of muscle tissue. You lose roughly 3 to 8% of your muscle mass every single decade. Why does that matter for your belly fat? Because your muscle tissue is your body's ultimate sugar sponge. Whenever you eat food, your muscles are supposed to soak up the excess glucose. But if you have less muscle on your frame, you have fewer places to store that sugar. That leads directly to higher insulin resistance, and higher insulin resistance leads straight to more belly fat. You do not need to become a bodybuilder. You just need to start doing basic movements like squats, push-ups, and dumbbell rows 3 days a week. I knew someone who ran 5 miles every single day without fail. They had incredible cardiovascular endurance, but they still had a very noticeable spare tire around their waist. It was maddening for them. They finally decided to cut their running in half and picked up some dumbbells instead. Within 2 months, they completely leaned out. The biggest mistake people make, especially women over 40, is fearing that lifting weights will somehow make them look big and bulky. You do not have the testosterone levels to get bulky by accident. Lifting weights will only make you tighter, leaner, and much more metabolically active. And speaking of things we get completely wrong about exercise, wait until you hear what your daily walk is actually doing to your hormones. We will get to that in just a second. Before we talk about walking, we have to address the root cause of the cortisol belly. You have to start aggressively managing your stress levels. You have to actively downregulate your nervous system every single day. This is not just a nice self-care tip, it is a biological requirement for fat loss. Research out of Yale University clearly shows that high chronic levels of cortisol cause fat to be stored centrally, right in the abdomen, rather than on your hips or your thighs. High cortisol tells your body to pack fat directly into the omentum, which is the deep fat depot located right underneath your abdominal muscles. To fix this, you need 15 minutes of dedicated zone-out time every single day. This means deep breathing, sitting in silence, or taking a slow, easy walk in nature. The rule is no podcasts, no music, and absolutely no looking at your phone. You have to let your brain completely unplug. I worked with a high-stress corporate executive who was doing intense boot camp workouts 5 days a week. He could not lose a single pound. His body was so flooded with stress hormones that the extreme workouts were actually making him fatter. We swapped his high-intensity interval training for slow yoga and walking. Suddenly, the weight started melting off. The most common trap people fall into is thinking, I am not stressed. I am just used to being busy. Your brain might be used to the chaos, but your adrenal glands are still pumping out stress hormones like you are running from a bear. If it is a massive relief to finally hear that your stubborn belly fat is not just a lack of willpower, hit that like button and subscribe. We are building a community of people figuring out how to actually thrive after 40, and I want you in it. Now let us talk about the food on your plate. You need to start eating a lot more fiber, and you need to stop being so terrified of carbohydrates. You do not need to cut carbs to zero, but you absolutely must demand that your carbs come naturally packaged with fiber. You should be aiming for roughly 30 grams of fiber every single day. As you age, the environment inside your gut microbiome drastically changes. Fiber is the only thing that feeds the good bacteria in your digestive tract. Those good bacteria are responsible for regulating your hormones and pulling excess estrogen and environmental toxins out of your body. If you are not eating fiber, those toxins just recirculate in your bloodstream and cause massive inflammation. You can easily hit this goal by adding things like chia seeds, fresh raspberries, avocados, and lentils to your daily meals. I remember talking to a guy who went on a super strict keto diet. He lost some water weight at first, but then he completely stalled out for 6 months. His digestion was a wreck and his belly fat was not moving. He only started losing the stubborn belly fat again when he finally added black beans and mixed berries back into his daily routine. The absolute worst mistake you can make right now is buying all those highly processed, low-net carb junk foods at the grocery store instead of just eating real, whole food fiber. A protein bar loaded with fake sugar alcohols is never going to heal your gut the way a bowl of raspberries will. But it is not just about the type of carbohydrates you are eating. It is about exactly when you are eating them. You need to move your carbohydrates to the evening. The old rule was to eat a big breakfast and a tiny dinner. That is completely backward for your hormones today. You should be eating your heavy proteins and healthy fats early in the day, and you should save your healthy carbs for your dinner plate. Carbohydrates are essential for helping your brain release serotonin and melatonin, which are the chemicals that make you feel relaxed and improve your sleep quality. Eating a massive bowl of oatmeal in the morning can cause a huge blood sugar crash by lunchtime, leaving you tired and craving sugar. But eating those exact same carbs at night aids in the deep cellular recovery your over 40 body desperately needs. Try having a roasted sweet potato or a solid cup of white rice with your dinner. I had a client who was a chronic insomniac. She was waking up 3 times a night, completely stressed out, and she could not lose weight to save her life. She started having a baked potato at 7 in the evening. She finally slept entirely through the night, and because her sleep improved, she started dropping weight effortlessly. The biggest mistake you can make is following that completely outdated diet culture rule that says you should never eat carbs after 6 in the evening. Your body needs that energy to repair itself overnight. But even if you time your carbs perfectly, there is a sneaky ingredient hiding in your kitchen right now that will completely block your progress. We will get to that in a second. Before we raid your pantry, we need to talk about your bedroom habits. You have to start prioritizing your sleep over your exercise routine. I call this the 7-hour rule. If you ever have to choose between waking up at 5 in the morning on only 5 hours of sleep so you can go crush a workout, or just sleeping in to make sure you get a full 7 hours, you need to sleep in every single time. A famous study from the University of Chicago found that restricting sleep to just 5 hours a night for a single week caused a massive drop in insulin sensitivity. Just one night of terrible sleep can literally make your cells as insulin resistant as a type 2 diabetic the very next day. When your cells resist insulin, your body has to pump out even more of it, and high insulin completely locks away your fat stores. You need to set a strict reverse alarm on your phone for 9:30 at night. When that alarm goes off, it is your signal to turn off the screens, dim the lights, and start winding down. I have seen clients drop 2 full inches off their waistline just by forcing themselves to sleep 8 hours a night instead of 6, without changing a single thing about their daily diet. The most dangerous mistake high achievers make is wearing the team no sleep lifestyle as some sort of badge of honor. Your lack of sleep is quite literally making you soft around the middle. Now, let us talk about that sneaky ingredient I mentioned earlier. You need to do a harsh audit of your pantry to spot the healthy hidden sugars. This is known as the insulin trap. After you cross into your 40s, your pancreas simply does not handle rapid sugar spikes as efficiently as it used to. And like we just talked about, high levels of insulin in your blood absolutely shut down the fat-burning process. You cannot burn fat when insulin is elevated. It is biologically impossible. You need to start reading the nutrition labels on all the foods you think are healthy. Check your favorite oat milk, your daily protein bars, your flavored Greek yogurt, and your salad dressings. You need to keep your total added sugars strictly under 25 grams for the entire day. I knew someone who was drinking a massive, beautiful green smoothie every single morning. They thought it was the healthiest thing in the world. But when we looked at the actual ingredients, it contained 45 grams of sugar because it was packed with dates and apple juice. It was a massive sugar bomb disguised as a health food. The most common mistake people make is believing that just because a sugar is labeled as natural, like organic agave nectar or raw honey, it somehow will not spike their insulin. Your pancreas does not care if the sugar is organic. Sugar is sugar, and it will shut down your fat burning all the same. It is absolutely crazy how much marketing tricks us into eating things that work directly against our bodies. If you are getting value out of this and want more no-nonsense truth like this, take 1 second to subscribe. It helps the channel more than you know, and we have got some of the best tips still coming up. Once you cut out the hidden sugars, you have to flush the remaining inflammation out of your system. You need to hydrate with intention. You should be drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water every single day, and you need to add a small pinch of high-quality sea salt to it. Lipolysis is the actual biological process of breaking down and burning stored fat for energy. That chemical process absolutely requires water to function. If you are dehydrated, your body cannot burn fat effectively. Furthermore, cellular dehydration mimics chronic inflammation in the over 40 body. When your cells are dry, your body sounds the alarm bells, raises cortisol, and holds onto water weight and fat. The best way to fix this is to drink a large 16-ounce glass of water before your feet even hit the floor in the morning. Keep it right on your nightstand. I have seen chronic, months-long diet plateaus break in a matter of days simply because a person increased their water intake from 3 measly glasses a day up to 8 solid glasses. But here is the common mistake. People will drink a gallon of plain filtered water all day long, but they lack the essential electrolytes, specifically sodium and potassium, that are actually required to pull that water inside the cells. If you do not have a little bit of salt, that water just runs right through you and you spend all day running to the bathroom while your cells remain completely dehydrated. Now, this next tip is going to sound completely counterintuitive, especially if you grew up in the 90s diet culture, but it is the actual secret to keeping your metabolism fired up. You have to completely stop grazing. You need to adopt the 3-meal protocol. I need you to stop eating 6 small meals a day. You need to eat 3 substantial, highly satisfying meals and completely stop snacking in between them. Every single time you put food into your mouth, your insulin levels rise to handle the incoming energy. If you are grazing all day long, taking a bite here and a handful there, your insulin never gets a chance to drop back down to baseline. If your insulin never drops, your body literally cannot open the doors to access your stored belly fat for fuel. You are keeping the fat storage doors permanently locked. You need to allow 4 to 5 solid hours between your meals where you consume absolutely nothing but plain water, black coffee, or unsweetened tea. I know an office worker who was incredibly frustrated with his lower belly. He was eating super clean, but every time he walked past the break room, he grabbed a tiny handful of raw almonds. He thought it was a healthy habit. Once he stopped that mindless grazing and let his insulin drop between meals, his lower belly finally started to shrink. The biggest mistake you can make is confusing the old advice of eating small meals to keep the metabolism burning with the biological reality of chronic insulin elevation. Your metabolism does not need constant food to stay hot. It needs a break. Breaking the snacking habit is tough, but it is a total game changer. Drop down into the comments below and let me know. What is your absolute biggest weakness when it comes to snacking? Mine is definitely late-night pretzels. Drop yours down below. The final piece of the food puzzle is that you have to start cycling your calories. You have to stop the starvation mode response. You need to stop eating the exact same dangerously low number of calories every single day of the week. Metabolic adaptation is a very real thing, and it happens much faster as we get older. Your body is incredibly smart and efficient. If you force yourself to eat exactly 400 calories every single day, week after week, your body eventually figures out what you are doing. It slows down your thyroid, lowers your body temperature, and reduces your daily energy output so that it only burns 400 calories a day. You completely stall out, and now you are trapped eating bird food just to maintain your current weight. You fix this by having 2 days a week where you intentionally eat at your maintenance calories. You eat significantly more food on these days, specifically focusing on increasing your protein and your healthy carbohydrates. This sends a loud and clear signal to your brain and your thyroid that you are not starving in a famine. I had a client who was stuck at 160 pounds for 4 straight months. She was miserable. I forced her to eat 500 more calories a day on Saturday and Sunday. She was terrified she would gain weight, but when she stepped on the scale the following Monday, she had finally dropped down to 158. The extra food stoked her metabolic fire. The common mistake here is thinking that a refeed day is a green light to order an entire pizza and eat a tub of ice cream. You are just eating more of your healthy whole foods to keep your metabolism guessing. Now I have a massive bonus tip for you, and it might be the most important thing I say in this entire video. I need you to go into your bathroom, pick up your digital scale, and throw it in the trash. Replace it with a cheap cloth tape measure. Because you are now lifting weights, eating more protein, and balancing your hormones, the scale is going to become a massive liar. You might not see the number on the scale move for 3 full weeks, but during those 3 weeks, your old pants will suddenly start feeling loose. This happens because hormonal water weight fluctuations and the addition of dense, new muscle tissue totally mask the fat you are actually losing. Muscle is much denser than fat. You could lose 3 pounds of fluffy belly fat, gain 3 pounds of tight muscle, and the scale will say you have done absolutely nothing. It is psychological torture. Take a tape measure and wrap it right across your belly button once a week on Friday mornings. Write that single number down. That is the only data point that actually matters for your progress. You need a simple plan of attack so you do not feel overwhelmed by all this information. We are going to keep it incredibly simple with a 1-2-3 plan for tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, you are going to eat 30 grams of solid protein. Tomorrow afternoon, you are going to swap out your usual slow cardio session for a 20-minute dumbbell or heavy bodyweight workout. And tomorrow night, you are going to be in your bed, with the lights completely out and your phone in another room by 10 o'clock. Getting older does not mean you have to settle for feeling uncomfortable in your own skin. Your body isn't broken. It is just operating on a brand new set of rules. Now that you actually know the rules, you can finally start playing the game to win. You do not have to do all of this perfectly right away. Just pick one single tip from this list and start it today. You have totally got this.